Good evening, everyone. It is Thursday, February 26th, 2026, and in this evening's video, we're going to be going over all of the latest and greatest when it comes to our upcoming pattern, as well as the winter storm we are anticipating to see over the next couple of days, getting into next week. So we're going to go over that, as well as the pattern discussion towards the end of the video. Please utilize the timestamps I have up throughout this video, skip around, watch whatever you need to watch, and you can be on your way. So like this video if you like it. Subscribe if you've not done so already. That really just helps the algorithm know whether this channel is helpful to people or not. So if it find it helpful, consider subscribing, and of course leave a comment down below where you are watching from, or if you have any prayer requests, I'd be more than happy to go over those and read those. So moving on and getting started. We're going to start off right now with the current radar. It's a different look from this morning's video, of course. Definitely more activity, so really just focused in the eastern U.S., specifically the southeast, with the most of concern here. Areas of Mississippi and Alabama, even areas of Georgia, have just severe or sub-severe storms going on. Most of these are producing hail. Some have produced minor wind threats. No tornadoes as of right now. Could increase as we go into the evening. This area of storms will likely start to consolidate a bit and drop to the south with the next few hours. But other than that, really nothing too crazy is expected. Watches, warnings, and advisories right now. There's a lot of wind-related things, wind advisories, high wind warnings, but these have really dropped off. Do have a few red flag warnings you see in this pink, but they've also dropped off. And you can see just a ton of stuff going on down here and areas of the deep south, southeast here. All of these blue are special weather statements for sub-severe storms. These orange are severe thunderstorm warnings. You can see several of those. We do even have storms producing over 2-inch hail, so significant hail, and a flood advisory over areas of Birmingham, likely for training storms. Other than that, it's actually pretty quiet out there. So for today, we do have a level 2 out of 5 risk from the Storm Prediction Center for severe weather overall in areas of Mississippi, Alabama, and the Ark-La-Miss areas, even over to, say, Birmingham, up to Tupelo, down to Canton, Mississippi here. So not a huge area under the gun here, but there definitely is an area under the gun here, and we can kind of break this down by type. So the tornado threat, there is nothing outlined. The wind threat, there's just small 5% risk in some of these areas, mainly over Mississippi and a few counties in Alabama. And then the hail threat is really what we're looking at here. They have not outlined that this is significant hail. So if there were black hash marks over this, you would then assume that some of it could be 2 inches in diameter or larger. The Storm Prediction Center has not outlined that. However, we have seen it. So stay tuned to your local sources. Pay attention down here. I don't expect this to do anything else too crazy. Tomorrow, we do have a risk of general thunderstorms. I could see them maybe throwing a marginal risk. I don't even really know where. And then for day 3, we kind of have a separate area over Oklahoma, Missouri, Kansas, Arkansas. So, and another area for Florida. So moving past that, let's discuss this winter storm. You've probably heard a lot about this. You may have even clicked on this video for this purpose. So let's get into it right now. Starting off here, this should be the GFS here. Yeah, so we're going to start off with the GFS. We're going to use 2 different sectors. So starting off here, this is starting off this coming Saturday morning. We have areas of snow developing in the Dakotas, right? You see this area kind of drop to the south and then intensify a bit as we get into the Midwest, the Ohio Valley. So this is late evening this coming Saturday into the early morning hours this coming Sunday. You can see snow in the blue. Pink is freezing rain on this map, and green is obviously just normal rain. This is just north of the Ohio River here, kind of along the I-70 corridor, and it kind of moves out now. However, that isn't the main show here. It could give you some notable snow, but it's not the main show. This is back here as we're getting into the afternoon this coming Sunday. See areas of purple, that's sleet. Pink is freezing rain, like I said. You'll see blue start to show up, that's snow, and it starts to develop in areas of Mississippi and Nebraska. Mississippi. I gotta get my states right. Kansas and Nebraska here, and moves its way to the east. So our models do disagree on how far north or south this will be, even at this range. It's 84 hours away. So starting tomorrow and the day after, we'll start to go over some of the short range stuff, but we're going to keep it at the global model guidance for now. This is getting into early Monday morning, and you have an area of snow along the I-70 corridor, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, the main target areas for this, and it starts to drop to the south and intensify a bit. So you can see as it gets into West Virginia, northern Kentucky here, it does start to intensify. There are corridors here of freezing rain, Specifics can't be nailed down quite yet, and that it moves its way out of this sector. Now, there are other pushes of moisture after this that we'll need to discuss. See areas of pink starting to show up more, and it moves on out, and so there's multiple waves. So let's move this east a bit. This is focusing more on the northeast and eastern Ohio Valley. Starting off with this first wave here, getting into early Sunday morning. It's a decent event, maybe for the Northeast Pennsylvania, New York here could give you guys some notable snow, and 1 to as much as 3, maybe 4 inches on the high end, nothing crazy. Moves its way out. Then you can see the main show move its way in. This is Monday afternoon, this coming Monday afternoon, under 100 hours. Areas of the mid-Atlantic getting in on this. Kentucky, Ohio, West Virginia, Maryland, kind of the Delmarva in general. And then it kind of drops to the south a little bit. So you have snow falling in areas of North Carolina. That's not necessarily what you would expect to see, but it's also not too crazy. I do wonder how far south this will make it. That's why I haven't really focused this further to the south yet. But it transitions into more of a freezing rain thing. I'm going to move this up so you guys can see it. So there's freezing rain here, and then it starts to amplify a little bit. So let's move this back. This is getting into early morning this coming Wednesday, and you have freezing rain, snow moving its way up into the northeast. That is the last push of moisture with this. So all in all, that's the GFS's idea. How about good old reliable European model? So we'll start this off this coming Saturday morning as well. Shows that same area of snow, although a bit further north by not that much, just a little tick. And that area of snow makes its way down through Saturday and into Sunday. It's a little bit lighter though. And then you can see the main show start to develop here in areas of Nebraska and Iowa. So again, it's further north. Something to keep in mind with a system like this. I do also want to mention, I should have mentioned it earlier, that these storms like to trend north. That is a common theme with these. So you could almost expect that this snow corridor will be even ever so slightly further north than it is. This is getting into late evening this coming Sunday. So it's a little bit different timing wise, pretty similar though. And in areas of Iowa, Illinois, even Wisconsin, Michigan here. So it's definitely further north. You see that area of snow makes its way to the east. And then it starts to develop some freezing rain. This is this coming Monday morning. And then it kind of moves its way out. Is there another push? There is. So we get into Tuesday morning, and we have an area of a kind of a mixed bag of precipitation, all the way from Nebraska, all the way kind of up through the lower Great Lakes region into the Midwest, and it moves its way out. So let's move this east as well. Same sequence here, starting this off this coming Saturday evening. So it's a little bit slower. All right, sorry, it's a little bit faster with this, but it gets that snow going. Very light though, dusting to maybe 1.5 inches across areas in the northeast. And then you can see the main show start to enter the picture as we make our way into Monday. And it does fall apart. It loses steam and it starts to warm. That's one consistent thing with our models here. They do show that there's the patterns changing while this storm is coming in. So we might have an influx of warmer air that could kind of throw more rain into this as opposed to just snow. But that moves and it's transitioned to freezing rain in Virginia. Something to watch. Nothing about this screams crippling ice storm quite yet, but it is definitely something we need to pay attention to. And then the second push of moisture really gets freezing rain going. Areas of Pennsylvania, Maryland here, and then an area of a heavy snow shield to the north and east of that. Very heavy snow possibly in areas of New York. So that transitions also into Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, but it's warm enough for just rain in areas of southern New England, and it moves on out. So all that being said, there are absolutely differences that we have to watch here, but both models show two primary waves of energy, and the first one kind of crashes down from the Midwest into the Mid-Atlantic, loses steam, and then the second one pushes up more into the Northeast. So when it comes to impacts from this system, I'm going to show you, this is just the GFS. This is the freezing rain totals here. So there will be corridors of sleet, there'll be corridors of snow, obviously, but this is the kind of danger part of this, if you will. Do not take this as gospel, but this is just a general idea. If you have more than a 1 to 2 tenths of freezing rain, that's when things can start to get dicey. Nothing too crazy until you get over 1/2 inch or so. But I do want to note, I mean, there are areas in Missouri here where notable amounts of freezing rainfall is denoted by this yellow color. Let's see, 0.5 inches, 1/2 inch. So there's just corridors of it along Maryland and south of the Ohio River and then southern Missouri on this model run. I do also want to note, and this is kind of an interesting part of this system, is that there could be a decent amount of freezing rain that falls kind of along and east of the Appalachian Mountains from the central and southern areas of the Appalachians, that is. Cold air kind of spills down, we get moisture that falls in it, and it could fall as freezing rain. So, I mean, this falls even as far south as the upstate of South Carolina, where I live up here in Greenville area. Notable amounts, enough to cause some issues. So, I want to keep that in mind. This is just one model run, though. Just keep that in mind. We'll go over the official graphics as we get closer. So moving in and looking at snow with a system like this and into the longer range, this is the European ensemble, and this is what it says between now and the end of this system. So it does have that corridor snow in the Dakotas here. It kind of drops south. It's a little bit messy because it involves multiple waves. I just do want to note that this is well further north than some of our other model guides shows us. GFS showed this pretty significantly further to the south. Not that that's right, it does show it that way. And I do also want to note that, I mean, you can see that the totals in here are not all that high. Really no more than about 2 inches across all of this area and the lower Great Lakes area and Midwest. It does increase a little bit as you make your way into the northeast areas of Virginia, Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire could be kind of a more highlighted area. I'm not even sure if I buy this off the Euro Ensemble. Normally I like to use it. It just might be a little bit too conservative. So I'm going to show you here while we're on this. This is the national blend of models, and this is what it shows, the latest run through the same time frame. Let's take this out a few more. So this is what it shows. It shows that corridor up in the Dakotas, but it really does beef it up in areas of Illinois, Indiana, and drops it south, even to and south of the Ohio River. Areas in here could be up near half a foot, 6 inches or so, and you can see it increases as you make your way into the northeast. I kind of buy this scenario a little bit more. This might be a little bit too aggressive, but I don't like the lack of aggressiveness on the Euro Ensemble at this range. I just don't. But let's move into some other model runs here. This is the European AI Ensemble. This is an uptrend. The last run looked like that. So the last run that we've got, the most recent one that is, has this corridor here of notable snow. The shading on this website is a bit different. Where it turns to blue, that is over 3 inches. So the shading's a bit different, but these kind of mild and darker shades of gray here are 1 to 2.5 or so inches. And you can see it. It's a little further north. It's kind of a middle ground, and it does increase. Areas in this darker blue are up getting near 6 inches in areas of Pennsylvania. So it doesn't really take this much into the northeast, areas of northern New England here, the far northeast. It really doesn't do much with it. It just kind of takes it one way and goes through. So that's interesting to me. So there's that one. Now, how about the operational GFS? The 18Z run I just showed you, this is what it dropped. So obviously it's one of our more south when it comes to the solutions here. We have a stripe up here of snow. This is from that kind of first wave that dies off. And then this is the second wave and technically third. I mean, there's areas here of Nebraska and Kansas that it drops nearly half a foot in. So it's something to watch there. But a few to several inches of snow. I also want to note the aggressiveness of this cutoff to the south. I mean, very aggressive. One of those type of events where you could be in a county in, say, Illinois, and you could drive 10 minutes up the road and there's like snow everywhere. That's kind of the consensus here from the GFS model. Now we make our way east. Then it changes a little bit. You know, between the borders of Indiana and Ohio, there's a hot spot, but the obvious hot spot here is southern West Virginia and Virginia. Kind of as it crashes south, it gains steam with the amount of moisture. So, I mean, it drops over half a foot of snow in areas of southern West Virginia and Virginia, kind of between Beckley area of West Virginia. That's where we were skiing at, and down towards Richmond. I mean, I do want to note this is higher elevated, but it does even get several inches of snow in North Carolina here, the northern counties. So something to watch. And then in the northeast, it still gives you guys that second wave. Areas of New York, even Pennsylvania, it kind of skips over you guys, but New York into the far northeast, it does give you guys a very notable snow. Although southern New England seems skipped on this run. Don't take that too seriously. Just that's the general idea. So that's the GFS. How about the Euro? Well, the Euro is kind of the adult, if you will, but even it has come back to some reality here. It shows that first wave, even from Montana down through the Dakotas. That first wave does that kind of narrow corridor of snow. This is much further north. Obviously, it doesn't really touch the Ohio River Valley here much at all. But areas of Illinois and Iowa here do get in on the majority of it. It skips a little bit. It breaks up as you make your way into the eastern Midwest and western Northeast, kind of a transition zone, the central apps, if you will. It has some sort of a signal down into Virginia, but it's very small. And then it pushes that wave. We saw it a second ago when we looked at it up into the Northeast, and it's definitely more intense. Areas of New York here, Vermont, New Hampshire, Maine, and even Massachusetts here getting localized areas over half a foot, maybe up near 7 inches of snow. Not a forecast, just an idea. So the one last one I'm going to show you here is the European AI. And I honestly think that this is one of the best looking solutions that we've got. Shows that first wave in the Dakotas, 1 to 1.5, maybe 2 inches in some areas. And then it gets it going here. It kind of looks more uniform and organized. It's kind of a middle ground between being too far north, too far south. And consistently in the bulk of this, there's 3.5 inches. I like this look. I really do. It has trended significantly away from even like North Carolina. Let me show you the run that we were looking at yesterday. It was way down here. So I like that it's gone back north because I think this is realistic. It targets areas of northern West Virginia and southern central areas of Pennsylvania here. But it drops notable snow. There is notable snow to be had in these areas. And you go up to the Northeast, it doesn't like you guys as much. It kind of takes this system once through, and that second wave is much weaker. It doesn't really do a whole lot, or it stays offshore a little bit. So something to watch, but we do have more consistency now. I like this look. But moving just past this and into our overall discussion here, this is the European as well. This is starting off this coming Saturday evening, just kind of going to go over the whole event. And so it goes, that's the first wave, second wave, the main wave there, and then the third wave moves up into the Northeast. After that, I then want you guys, I made a video about this but like a few hours ago. I want you guys to watch this area. I'm going to leave it circled actually. Just for a ton of activity, just a lot of green and red, a lot of severe weather potential in this area over the next couple of weeks. It's getting into like March 7th, 8th time frame, and you see all of these storm systems. I'm going to get rid of this now. They kind of form down here, and then they kind of just jut up to the north. Whether they're here or whether they're here, they kind of shoot up to the north and east pretty quickly, and we'll go over why that is here in a minute. But there's just a lot of activity, a lot to be had for severe weather. I don't want you guys to forget about winter yet. I mean, it still is March. We're not completely done with winter weather. There isn't a lot of it, but I mean, you can see as these systems cut up to the north, there are areas of freezing rain. I think freezing rain will be a bigger concern as we get into March because of the pattern here. But we move out to the end of this run. This is the end frame right here. So not a whole lot going on at this specific time, but we just had a system go through before it. So there's just a lot of activity. That's what I want you to get from it. And the GFS is in solid agreement when it comes to total activity here. Here's the first wave rolls down. It kind of turns into a bigger wave. Here's the second wave, drops to the south. Third wave, then it gets out of our hair. There's a system that follows right in behind it. Doesn't seem to do a lot other than rain. But we get into the 7th, 8th. There's consistency here. Again, I went over this in a video I made a few hours ago just discussing the severe potential with this. There is consistency here for kind of the Central Plains, kind of the Mississippi River Valley for something to happen severe weather-wise. And that moves out. There's a lot of activity. You see, in that area I had circled that I removed the circle from, there's just a lot going on. But this is what I'm talking about, guys. See, don't forget winter is still here. This is getting into March 11th. Winter's not done yet just because it feels like it's not. We're getting to the end, but it's not quite done yet. So, I mean, don't buy this specific scenario. This is over 300 hours out, but still, there's definitely potential for snow to still occur. It really seems confined to the central / northern plains and points north. And this is the end frame. So a brief look out west would show you there's not really anything to go over. I want to watch the 7th through the 9th time frame. The Euro's been kind of showing this where we have more snow in the kind of central Rockies, but even that's not a whole lot to speak of. GFS agrees for the most part. Get into the 5th, 6th, there's kind of waves of of snow that make their way, mainly higher elevated snow though. So there's still activity out here, but your really active period of weather has already come to an end. So here's our AI guidance, just to kind of go over this. We're starting this off the afternoon of this coming Saturday. There's that first wave in the Dakotas and Montana, drops south. Doesn't do a whole lot. This kind of agrees with its deterministic friend, just a normal Euro. And here's the main wave of it here. A lot of snow. There's also a lot of sleet and freezing rain here. I do wonder how wide this corridor will be. I question it, but still, it does show that there's a corridor of a little bit of everything. And it makes its way through, and then there's a second push of moisture. So it kind of agrees. No significant up or down trends over the last 24 hours or so. It looks pretty solid. After that, we kind of there's more energy. This is what I'm talking about. This is between the 7th and the 8th. Our AI guidance is agreeing that in areas down here, there's some sort of system, some sort of moisture bomb, and if there's enough dew points, there's enough wind energy aloft, you can get severe weather out of that. And this is the end frame. These AI models only go out 10 days on this website. So what about the GFS AI? It shows that first wave and the northern high plains drops south. It does more with it, kind of like its deterministic friend. It gets more snow with this first wave getting into this coming Sunday, the March 1st. Here's the second wave. This is more suppressed though. It has a lot of rain. It just doesn't do a whole lot with snow or sleet or freezing rain. Just a little bit less winter weather overall. But it gets snow into areas of North Carolina. I want to note that. The second wave kind of gets going and amplifies, but it's very quick hitting. And is there anything else to speak of? No, but other than this. That's what I'm talking about. Somewhere between the 7th and the 8th, we have this big moisture bomb in the kind of between the far southern plains and the deep south and southeast areas. I mean, there's something there. I really do think, and this is the end frame that we got. So, kind of to discuss this pattern, this is where I kind of become a nerd, more so than I already am in these videos. I become even more of one in this section. So let's go over it here. This is starting off tomorrow morning, and what you're looking at here is just the upper level like height anomalies. So areas like this, that area of blue, these areas of blue up here, those are just troughs. Those bring cooler air. They can be associated. They're storm systems. That's what they really are. Areas you see in red like this, those are ridges. They bring higher pressure and warmer air. So this is starting off tomorrow morning. And you can see here, we get to start this event off. Let's just take this frame right here, for example. And you got a lot of blue up here. I'm going to switch colors here. You got a lot of blue up in areas of Canada. So that's our cold air source, right? And you can follow these black lines, and they go like this. That is the track that these waves of energy will take, give or take, some tweaks. So what this pattern supports is that we have cooler air kind of dive down, and you've got some sort of southern stream bringing in warmer air and moisture to the south, and they meet, and somewhere in this area you get something that happens. Our pattern's supportive. We move past that. Now I want to watch. Get past the 5th, the 6th, into the 7th or so. You see how this ridge, it breaks apart. You got two specific ridges now, spiking up, and you have this area, this trough right here, digging very far south with this cooler air. There's a few things that this does. It connects the higher latitudes all the way down to the lower 48 in some form or fashion. So it does that, and not only does it do that, but it allows for a different track. So let me click on this first, and then we'll take this frame here, for example. Not the specific time is important. What this does, it gets energy going. Obviously, you got the Rockies right here, right? The higher elevated regions. And a basic quasi-geostrophic class, pretty much. That doesn't sound basic at all, but whatever. What this does is the flow rolls over the higher elevations. It gets surface low pressures to go somewhere, and they're all going to track following these black lines. So pretty much what this does, let's say you get a surface low right here. We got a lot of surface lows developing in the Central Plains over the next couple weeks. I really believe that. They shoot quickly up to the north because that is the flow and in the whole layer of the atmosphere. It's very hard for these low pressures to fight this and go down here. It's very difficult, if not impossible. So these form, and then they just shoot off to the northeast very quickly. And you really have to watch for those surface low pressures to yank up that warm, moist Gulf air and then you've got the wind involved, and that can get severe weather going. When we move past this, is there any difference? Maybe it loses some steam a little bit, and as we get out towards the end of the run, we kind of have a more zonal look. So our storms would take a more west to east track. So that's not to say our severe weather would decrease, but it does look like a less amplified pattern. I'll put it that way. So temperature wise, let's go over this. Well, does this support what we just saw? This is starting off right now. Areas you see in red are above average. Blue is below average. That's the surface temperatures. Not measured, just above or below average. So as you can see, we get into the first, the second. You can see there's a very aggressive temperature gradient here. You got this area of blue. I'm probably going to switch colors here. And you got areas of red down to the south that border it. So when you have that, that's why we do have corridors of sleet and freezing rain here. Because right in there, if you have moisture from the south that rides up into this cold air, you can get freezing rain. If you get snow that rides into this warmer air, it can fall as sleet or freezing rain. So that's why we have this kind of messy winter storm look. But I want you guys to really see. We get into the 6th, 7th or so. You see all this blue starting to enter. It's not crazy. It's not like excessive amounts of blue. That's showing that trough aloft. There's just a lot of red from along and then east of the Rockies. That's typical. The Rockies kind of divide the country. So weather on either side of those could be drastically different. You can see it's very different right here. But this is getting into the 8th, 9th or so. Areas that you see, like, let's use this frame, this kind of, I don't even know what color this would be. This really, really dark pink or something. That's just well above average. And that's in most of the eastern U.S. We get out towards the end of the run, it looks like this. So I put this in motion. You can see there is quite a lot of red, especially in the southern tier of the country. So what I want you to get from that is if we have well above average temperatures, and then we have our flow aloft that supports low pressures going like this and then shooting off to the north, it can bring this Gulf air up to the north with it. And obviously it depends on where these lows track and what dynamics they have involved, but I think our pattern very much supports some sort of active just weather in general. We could have winter weather up here, we could have severe weather down here. I think that's going to be a consistent look. And I do think that this area right here is going to be the most active for severe weather over the next couple weeks. That's my call at it, as we haven't even entered March yet. This could change very quickly. So moving in, this is the last thing I'm going to show you here. This is just the total moisture content that the atmosphere has and that it dropped over the next 15, 16 days. So areas you see in purple, even into this red, that's the highest amount of moisture. So this accounts for all types of precipitation. This accounts for snow, it accounts for hail, it accounts for normal rain, it accounts for everything. So where you see the most of these colors, that's where the most activity will be. Because like I said before, we define activity and weather as precipitation of some sort. You don't say the weather is active when it's sunny outside. You just don't. You define it as active if it's raining or snowing or severe weather or something. So areas right in here, there's the biggest corridor of the most intense totals here. I'm not saying that, I see 6 to 8 inches that have fallen right in this area, so I need to get prepared for flooding. No, this is accumulated over the next 15 days, but this just shows us where the most activity could be. It lines up with what I was just showing you. Kind of, you get low pressures right here. Most of the like storm energy, like the severe weather parts, will be to the south. That's supported, right? You got a surface low to form right there. So this is uptrended over the past couple of days. This continues to go up, and I think that Arkansas, Missouri, Kansas, Oklahoma, Texas, and Louisiana, right in here specifically, will be the biggest corridor for severe weather and possibly even winter weather on the northern sides of it. And winter is not done yet, just because it feels like it's not. So all of that being said, thank you guys so much for watching this video. Again, please feel free to leave a like, subscribe to this channel, and share it with your friends and family and get this information out to people. I do think we've got a lot to watch over the next couple of weeks. I'll continue to keep you guys updated as always. So yeah, thank you guys for watching. I will see you guys tomorrow morning for our daily forecast video.